good snare drum sound, and that's a good thing. Let's go right to it. The first thing you need to do, this is really important, you need to make the snare drum itself sound good. Because you know, you can have, if you have a bad sounding snare drum and you record the audio, you can do a lot of things to it and it's gonna sound maybe okay. But if you have a snare drum that sounds good from the start, you know, that's gonna bring you way further than a bad snare drum. So what you need for that is a drum key and probably some drumsticks. But you know, I'm not gonna show how to tune a snare drum because there's tons of videos, you know, on YouTube. So just find a video on YouTube how to tune a snare drum, you know, and you should be good. I have a symphonic right here, 14 6.5 inch. You know, that's an amazing drum. I love it. But I haven't used it for a while, so I'm gonna tune it really quick, and we're gonna record some audio and get a nice sound. Alright, next thing is microphones. You know, most of the time when you record snare drums, you want to use dynamic microphones because they don't pick up all the sound that is around the snare. They just pick up what they are pointed on, you know, roughly. So on the top of the snare, I want to use the Shure FM57, and that is the most normal mic for snare drums, no doubt about that. And on the bottom, I'm gonna use this cheap microphone thingy from Thomann, you know, the big music store in Germany. You know, it doesn't really sound good, but you know, I'm gonna do it anyway because that's what I have, and if it doesn't sound good, I can just take it away in the mix, you know, remove it from the mix. But yeah, let's set up the mics. So what I do when I set up microphones on the snare drum is that I start with the top, and as you see in this picture, the best thing to do would be to have the mic on the middle of the snare. But you know, since people are hitting the snare with the drumsticks, that's not really a possibility. So what I do is to set the microphone at the edge of the drum, and then I set a finger. You know, I do so so I can have a finger between the drum and the microphone, and that's always my starting point. Then I might move the mic around from there, and then on the bottom of the snare I start out with the same thing. You know, I have a finger between the drum and the mic, and it's actually just like a mirror of the top, but then I take the stand itself and move in towards the middle of the drum, so it's kind of the same position but just closer to the middle of the drum. And now we are actually ready to record the drum, so let's do that. Okay, we got a good recording right there, and I recorded into these two tracks, snare top and snare bottom. Let's listen to them, one at a time. We're gonna start with the snare top. And the snare bottom. Okay, as you hear, the bottom have more high end, to it, I think, which is what we need. If you are in a situation where you only can mic the top snare, that's cool too. You don't have to mic the bottom, but it's a nice thing to do because you get some more info about the sound, some more detail, I should say. But you don't have to if you can't do it. It's just a thing I like to do. Anyway, I am going to EQ the top, and you're just gonna listen to it. Okay, so what I did to the top was to use a big low cut or high pass, you know, at 146, and at 200 I made a boost to get some of the balls, you know, the balls from the snare. That's some of, you know, around 200 you get a lot of the body of the snare, which I like. Here around 500 I found that overtone, I think I call it in English, you know, that ringing sound. So I removed that with minus 11 decibel, which is a lot, but I don't think it matters, like in this situation. Then I removed 2 decibel at 2500, and it's because there was a kind of a weird sound, I think. And then I did a high shelf on or from 5400 on 3.5 decibels, because you get a lot of the crispy sound around that frequency. So let's do the bottom snare now. Alright, we did roughly the same thing. We did a low cut, again the thing with 200 to get the body of the snare, and removed some of the ringing sounds at around 500. Removed something at 1620 hertz. This one we didn't use, and at the high shelf I went far. You know, I started I think 200 hertz further down compared to the top, because this is the bottom, and we have the mic right pointing right into the snare itself. So I decided to give it a bit more of you know, that top thing, you know what I mean. And now I want to mix these two tracks together. The way I'm gonna do that is just to let the top be at 0 dB. No, actually I'm gonna take it down to -5. And then I'm gonna find a balance between these two tracks. Alright. The next thing we want to do is to make send these tracks to we want to send these tracks to a bus. We want to send them with 0 decibel. What just happened? Oh. With 0 decibel. Alright, and on this track we want to have a compressor. So I'm just gonna find that. And what we want to do with this compressor is to have a very high ratio and a low threshold and a high makeup gain. About the attack and release, we're gonna see about that. But let's do it. Okay, so what we got now is a track with, a track where the snare drum is really punchy. And what we want to do with this track is to find a mix between that and the normal tracks. So I'm gonna do that now. That's a good enough balance for now. Basically you are done with your great sounding snare drum. Another thing you can do is to put some reverb on it, and we're gonna do that just because we can. We're gonna send it to bus number 2. And again, we're gonna send 0 dB. I'm just gonna do this snare comp and snare verb. Then we wanna choose some reverb. I'm gonna use the space designer. mono is fine. And normally what I do is to go through some of the presets and then do my adjustments. That's what I'm gonna do now. That's fine. And then I'm gonna do the same with the as I did with the compressor. I'm gonna mix the reverb into the mix. That sounds pretty good, I think. I hope you agree. But you know, all these settings, right? I don't want you to just go to your project and then just copy my EQ and my compressor and my reverb, because then you don't learn something. What I show you here is the principle of what you need to do, and you know, if you use these settings on a different snare, I'm pretty sure it doesn't sound good, because every snare is different, and every snare drum needs you know, a different EQ and compressor and all those things. But I guess that's it. Thank you for watching. See you around.